And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to what I call a very special edition of the Tim May podcast. When you throw a couple of these in there in 1 week, I think that's a big bonus for everybody involved. And the reason I've got it right now is I have a mother of an Ohio State football player who received very big news today that, in fact, Ohio State is going to play the 2020 season. We'll see how far they get with it. But Nan Werner, mother of Pete Werner, welcome to the Tim May podcast.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
And just real quick, what was your just excitement as we record this on a Monday afternoon? What was your excitement of finally hearing? You'd heard the rumors that this was going to happen for a couple of days, but to see it basically in black and white that it's actually going to happen, just what was your reaction?
Well, I went into self-preservation mode in the last few days because I've heard rumors before that, as you know, have not occurred. So until I heard it from either Pete, Coach Day, or the commissioner, I wasn't going to let myself think about it. I thought, sure, I was never going to see Pete in a Buckeye uniform again. Yeah. And now, after this morning, I pulled all of my Buckeye stuff back out of the drawer. I actually put it away because every time I saw it, it made me sad. So now I've got my Buckeye gear out, and I am just beyond happy for all of these guys and these people that are going to get to do what they have been training to do for so long.
People do not understand the emotional, much less financial investment. I know these guys are on full ride scholarships, but you guys travel all over the Midwest and then to the West Coast, et cetera, to watch your son play. They don't understand, but the emotional investment that parents have in this, right?
Correct. Yes. I mean, Ohio State travels well. Well, the parents are included in that. They are making plans. I remember even this past spring, parents saying, okay, they've got the schedule up. We can start booking flights or getting deals, because we're going to be there. We're going to be there. Time is so precious, and you never know. I mean, football's a tough sport. You don't know how long they're going to play, and you just got to be there for every moment. So
and like a mother especially. I mean, no offense to fathers, but mothers especially. They bore this young man. Number one, number two, they've been there when he's laughed and cried and et cetera in the past. And just how tough was this? Do you think on Pete? I mean, we haven't gotten to really talk to players much, but
right.
Just how tough was it on Pete of just not knowing?
Pete he just kept going. I mean, he really didn't say anything to me about anything other than just, I'm going to keep going to practice and I'm going to keep working out and keep getting ready. And he's just a very, even keeled guy. Yeah. And you know what, whatever happens, and I'm going to make the best of it and take advantage of whatever comes. So I honestly think he's been 100 times better than me. But no, Pete's been very cool cucumber. That's kind of his personality.
Yeah.
And so he's very excited. He's actually the one that told us this morning. I believe they had a Zoom call set up with Coach Day, and I'm so glad that they got to hear it as well at the same time as the world. And, it wasn't like they told the world and then guess what, boys, you get to hear it. So and Pete was the one that texted us, and I'm like, okay, I can believe it. I can let myself go there because I heard it from, him. So.
Yes, but they kind of did it in reverse order than they've been doing things. I'm talking about, the Big Ten. We can get into that in a second. You personally, I hope you booked those flights originally on Southwest so you at least get credit.
Right.
But I mean, right now you don't know what to do in that regard because obviously you don't even have a schedule yet, except they're going to try to play 8 games in 8 weeks and then a championship game. And what do you think about that schedule? Have they painted themselves into a little bit of a corner? What's your COVID corner? Let's call it that. But what do you think about that?
Well, I know what I'm going to tell my son. Based on what I saw, that 21 days of no playing, if you test positive, I'm going to say, stay by yourself. Don't go to Kroger. Don't go, and just quarantine 100 zillion percent, because
Yeah.
you cannot afford, and your team cannot afford for these boys. I mean, everything's on the line. Every game is hugely important if, we're going to have any hope of keep continuing to go to the, to the playoff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you just can't lose these boys for 3 weeks at a time. So,
Yeah, that's the crazy part we were trying to wrap our heads around is it's kind of like a mother who is overly cautious, the kind who wouldn't let their kids play sports because they were afraid they'd get hurt. This is kind of grudgingly letting your kid go out there. I'm talking about, the Big Ten, and if you do test positive, 21 days, because, they're very concerned about the myocarditis thing, the heart ailment that can come along with this in a few people and stuff. I mean, you understand that too, right? I mean, you're glad that people have their back in that regard, right? I mean,
right. I don't want anyone being irresponsible.
Yeah.
I do know, I have another son in college right now, and he's not going to get a heart scan as soon as he tests positive like Pete. So I understand the risk, but I know that Pete is safer and in a better environment than any just random college co-ed who won't get a heart scan.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful that they care about it. 100% grateful.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, that I just want to first of all say that you're right. I don't think they just said play and we'll see what happens and forget about it. No, I mean, so I am grateful. I do believe Dr. Borchers, he's been on Zoom calls with parent calls with Coach Day since March.
Wow.
And we have been able to ask Dr. Borchers any question we want. So he's been a very good resource and has fielded all of our questions and given us responses which tell us that they do care about these boys so much.
Yeah. Dr. Corey Teague, Dr. Teague, yes. Master Teague's dad and stuff, but he talked about that too. I mean, Ohio State's been over the top with this stuff. The problem is maybe sometimes other places aren't. You never know what somebody else is doing. If you just have spring games, that you'd be happy, but talk about that a little bit though, Nan, from the standpoint of, have you been even more impressed with Ohio State since this has been going on with the way they handled this crisis, so to speak?
I have been 100% pleased with it. Dr. Borchers, like I mentioned, Coach Day, all the other coaches are on all the calls.
Yeah.
Since the very beginning in March, we have had Zoom calls consistently at every point where, like when boys came back on campus in the summer, and then we had a call, and in the midsummer, and periodically at appropriate times, I feel that the coaches have been very transparent with us about how they are doing things. And, boys, they're 18 to 23-year-old guys. So they're going to want to be together. They're going to want to, and those coaches are like, we have been on them, social distance, and I can just hear it. We kind of giggle, the parents, because we know how the boys are going to want to be.
Yeah. And
they have been on them. And the boys, honestly, I mean, I know the boys have done things socially, but just together, like they'll go play cards at one of the players' apartments, and they social distance, but they also kind of stay together and don't venture out into the public irresponsibly. So, and the coaches have been great with telling us, this is what we're doing and this is what they should be doing. And I felt 100% comfortable the whole time. Never have I felt that anyone was doing something that would hurt the boys.
You've heard of the term just going up to a wall and yelling at a wall, expecting the wall to give you an answer. Did you guys as parents, you folks as parents, excuse me, feel like you were doing that for a month or so? Just give me the level, I don't know if frustration is the right word for it, that you felt when y'all were trying to get answers to some questions about just basically about why the Big Ten stepped away from the original setup it had, which had built in all these buffers,
right,
to be able to play games, but also move games if they had to, et cetera. Just how frustrating was that? And then how fulfilling, for want of another term, or the reasons that they've given today, Kevin Warren and the Big Ten people, of why they're now able to move forward. But first, give me that frustration level.
Oh, I was absolutely shocked when I heard it, and I heard it on the radio, like public radio, and I about wrecked the car, I think, when I heard canceled. Postponed and, until further notice. I always felt like delaying was the best thing to do. I just never dreamed that they would completely say it was done.
Yeah.
So I was very frustrated, especially after weeks of not getting any response on why cancel or postpone, why not delay. And so, yes, I think we started getting on Zoom calls with the Parents Association. I'm on the board, and like, what can we do? What can we do that's gonna, help our son's case and try to get this done, or at least make them answer us. And so you're right. Sometimes, Randy went up to the Big Ten offices, and then we all went over to the SHU and did a rally. And there was lots of media there, which I thought was wonderful, that they cared to hear what we had to say. But it was frustrating to not get any response, not even a tweet or anything from the Big Ten. Everyone was very frustrated with it. And I've heard explanations. From what I understand, the commissioners knew, and someone, I think maybe Gene Smith had told the parents that there were 7 new presidents.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure there was a lot of hesitation from everyone. This is a big deal right at the beginning of all of their tenures. But at the same time, I still think, apart from that some explanation should have happened, at least for the coaches and the boys.
Yeah.
And so, we were frustrated. But now, the news coming today, I'm not surprised how it came. And I won't be surprised that there will be no more communication other than details. You've just come to expect the same.
Yeah.
So at least they were willing to listen to how medically things have changed. I am appreciative of that.
It's interesting because, Kevin Warren put out that press release a little while after the announcement that the season was going to be postponed until the spring, which, what does that mean? And then number 2, said it would not be revisited. Yes. It's been revisited, and the salesman got his foot in the door and sold the goods. How much do you folks, I'm not trying to get you to pat yourself on the back because Big Ten officials did a lot of that today, patting themselves on the back about how they've gotten football back. Meanwhile, the Sun Belt's upsetting 3 teams in the Big 12 over the weekend. The Sun Belt Conference figured it out. But I don't, without patting yourself on the back, how responsible do you feel is helping this groundswell that got them to revisit the situation and move on? And they're citing the instant test that came along as being the linchpin or the straw that broke the camel's back as far as they were concerned about being able to come back. But I don't know. Just what do you think that? Do you feel better as a parent that you stood up at this moment and stood up for your son and other sons' situations, their rights, maybe for want of another term, to get to try to play football if they can this fall?
Well, I will say that as far as the Parents Association's part in it, we were one of many parts.
Yes.
I would say, like a lot of other parent organizations and teams came together. That we had a lot of help from former alumni who spoke out, who have a lot of clout, and just reporters relentlessly talking about their frustration and interviewing. And so I think helped where we played a part.
Yeah.
But there were so many parts. You can't just say one particular part. But I especially having a senior, I felt that I owed it to these boys because normally I would not be on this screen with you. But I
Too
just
bad.
gotten a little vocal here in the last month because I felt like if I don't say anything, I mean, I owe it to try in my little voice or the parents association. And then you add, 8 other parent associations to that. Then it might get some legs. I just couldn't sit there and be silent. I'm sure some of my tweets probably.
No, I saw some retweets.
Frustration, but I just couldn't be silent. When these not poor boys, but some of them who have gone through so many adversities, it just sickened me. So I just had to say something. But
yeah, no one knows about the sacrifice that guys go through. And yeah, this is not digging ditches, or for a living and stuff,
right.
But the work, the sacrifices, the angst, like, for example, your own son, Pete, 2 years ago, he goes to Indy for the championship game and is almost a forgotten factor on the defense, Last year, he's a major factor, He held it, he hung in there and became that kind of player that everybody thought he could be in the first place, is what I'm saying. The ups and downs of that and stuff that they've gone through, and then for it to come down to someone deciding whether they can or can't play their senior season had to be just you. Like I said, you had to be screaming at the wall for more than for want of another term. Let me ask you just a couple of things. I'll let you get out of here. What did you find out, though, about organization and people getting together for a common cause? Because I'm trying to think, in your lifetime as a mother, how many times have you gone to bat for your son, in a situation to where over and above type like this was?
Well, this would be my first time. Fortunately, I don't want to ever do it again or have the need to feel like I need to.
Yeah.
I'm on the board. We all kind of chuckle, but when we signed up to be on this board, Amanda says, I was just going to plan tailgates. Well, I was just going to sell merchandise.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd become advocates for the players and coaches until now. So anyway, it's been something I never thought I would be doing, but I'm glad I did. And oops, I got an alarm going off here. Anyway, so no, you're good. Oh, here it is. Sorry.
That's all right.
So, anyway, I just never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing, but it's not me. I mean, I have learned, if anything, that you are one of many, but if you put all those many together, things can happen. Yeah. So I'm just, apart from any of that, I am just glad. I don't even care if I go to the games. I really don't. I want the boys to play. And if we go to these venues and they say no parents allowed, I can handle it. I will just watch, on the TV or whatever. But it's been a really crazy, but I'm so happy for those boys. I mean, like I said, I didn't think I'd ever see Pete or a lot of these boys in a Buckeye uniform again. And there are a lot of worse things in this world going on. But for today, I feel wonderful for all of them. I really do.
Ladies and gentlemen, people who know me know I'm famous for asking just one more question 10 more times. But I'm not going to do that in this case because, Nan Werner, you just summed it up in a nutshell there, that last part. Maybe you should look into public speaking as your next endeavor. Maybe run for office. What do you think?
My former teacher days. I used to be a high school teacher, so.
What subject?
English.
English. There you go. Well, I could use some help with that myself, but growing up in the South, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, man, thank you very much for being with us because you guys, and I keep saying you guys, you parents played a huge role in this of making yourself heard finally, and they did revisit it. You are going to get to see your son play his senior year at Ohio State, and wow, I know you've got to be over the moon with that. And thanks for joining the Tim May podcast.
Oh, it was a pleasure talking to you, and go Bucks, right?
Yes, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, this is Tim May for Nan Werner. We'll see you then.